This video is for a customer of mine, Noah, but I thought maybe I might post it for the rest of y'all to see, just find it interesting, informative. Noah got in touch with me and said he wanted to order a Freq LSD, and he said he was going to be using it with a synthesizer. And I told him, I said, I don't know if it's going to really do its thing with a synthesizer. It's really designed to be driven by passive pickups. A lot of transistor-based fuzzes are like that. Like, the fuzz face is, notorious for that. Like, if you don't, that's why like putting a wah in front of it sometimes, doesn't work right. But it just the input of the circuit expects a certain input impedance from whatever signal source is going to be driving it. And when you design it with a guitar with passive pickups, it kind of wants that. So there's, the issue of impedance, but there's also an issue of something like a synthesizer has a higher output than a guitar with passive pickups. So it might just slam the input of the circuit harder than it can handle, meaning like it might not be able to do its thing, that it does properly if it's getting hit with something that's just too hot. So I told him, I said, I can make you a box that will kind of be like an interface buffer type box, the transformer in it, and something so that you can put it in between synth, whatever kind of active gear you have, and a fuzz pedal, and the fuzz pedal will, see it more like the signal more like a passive pickup. And I told him, I'll put it, an attenuator on it. That way you can also like dial in like the signal strength. And so he said, cool. And I built it, and then I decided that I would put a passive modulator circuit, an amplitude modulator circuit in it. Something I got a bunch of like passive circuits that I've used in my synth modules and a variety of things. And I picked one that I thought would work well with the box, because the whole box is already completely passive. So just seemed right. So I just decided to throw it in for free. And I wanted to make this video just to show him how it works, because it's just so much easier than trying to, explain it in words. It's like when you can see stuff, and I'm better at visual, explanations. So, anyway, so, I have my little Casio here. Maybe not the, best thing to use, but I figured, it'll work. So that goes into input 1 on the box. From there, it goes down to this coils switch. This is a transformer in here. When it's up, it's a single coil. Middle, it's dual. It's 2 coils, and down it's bypass. So it just bypasses the circuit completely, because you don't always want it there. And I wanted this box to be used. I was like, this is going to be a good box to have around, because I have something pretty much exactly like this that I use all the time, just for connecting, various pieces of gear that, don't always, you can't always just plug directly into. So anyway, yeah, so it goes to there, then it goes to this attenuator. Just volume control, goes from 0 to unity, and then it goes output 1. Now there's input 2. This is where you put the send the control voltage for the amplitude modulator. That goes to this attenuator, and this allows you to attenuate the control voltage that's going to the control voltage input of the amplitude modulator. This lets you like dial it in. So like if it's really hot, you know really hot control voltage, you set it low. If it's really weak, set it high. Just allows you kind of to dial in the depth of the modulation. It's it's not the most perfect circuit in the world, but it's passive, so it's it is what it is. But you'll see it works. It works pretty cool. And then I have the output going into the frequency LSD. So okay, so first I have this set up so that it's as if this box isn't even there. So this is just directly going into that, and we'll see how that sounds, and then how it sounds once we start using the features on the box to adjust the signal coming from here. So just kind of sounds fuzzed out and fuzzy, and which the frequency LSD sounds like that, but not that kind of boring as this is. So let's try putting on the single coil. Dual. Now it's starting to do the thing that the frequency LSD does. It's that weird morphing sitar kind of thing. It's it's not being. I'm not using a guitar, so it's not quite the same thing. But the thing about the frequency LSD, especially, but all kind of intense fuzzes like that. They rely on the envelope that comes out of a guitar to do their thing. So there's the initial sound that happens when your initial pick attack, and then as the note rings out and dies away, it does all these things. Whereas if you just send it a steady tone and take it away, it doesn't. You can't even really tell the character of the fuzz. So ideally you'd have a keyboard that has like an envelope control on it, so you can bring the sounds. It's not just bang, but I didn't want to bust out a giant keyboard and then not know where the hell to put it, and you can. So when the frequency LSD, if you like have it set kind of the way it is now, and you pluck like one of the unwound strings, like high up on the neck, and let it ring out, it does this little like arpeggio type sequence of notes, which is what's happening here. And I have it on like the flute setting or something. Now, that's basically simulating the envelope of a guitar, with the note ringing up, the initial attack and then it dying away. Put this down a little bit. definitely needs to be going into an EQ rather than just my guitar amp right now. But as you can see, you can use the box as a a manual envelope. To especially you can use it just. But when you send it through a fuzz, then it does a whole other thing. It all does weird timbre shifting. Anyway, so there's that. And then the amplitude modulator. So I have this adapter because it's 1/4 inch, and which is what Noah wanted. But I have an 1/8 inch cable coming from a oscillator, a VCO, on my modular setup. Okay. The frequency LSD is obviously a gated type of fuzz, so doing this is doesn't work so well. And then you can use a audio rate modulation source. Get more of like a ring mod. And you just bring this back. So, one of the main reasons that I'm actually doing this video is to show Noah this. So, I know you said you didn't really have a, source necessarily of modulation, like a, synth module or whatever. So I thought, let me think of what kind of gear you might have around that you could actually use. So this is just a splitter. It's 2 1/4 inch inputs, 1 out. I have a ton of these. They're ones I got from Radio Shack 100 years ago. I have a million of them because I used to have a massive feedback system with a mixer and everything when I was younger and going nuts with harsh noise. So basically, you just need something that can that you can plug the pedal into itself. Okay, I gotta power it up. And I'll take this out. So have a feedback loop and then have another output, and you turn this on, and you want to use something like a a high gain pedal, especially something if you have that has like tone controls, because you'll have more versatility. But when you turn it on, crank up things, it starts oscillating, turns into an oscillator essentially. You can use it as a modulation source. Which Now it's obviously it's not as hot as something like my VCO module. So you have to crank this up, and you have to have this set. So, but the all the controls will alter the pitch and then also the timbre if you have like these tone controls. And obviously you can plug as many pedals together as you want, and like, you know, if you put in like a tremolo or an echo or something, you'll get like rhythmic stuff coming out of here, and you can use it as an audio source as well. But I just wanted to come up with something that you might have around that you can pack together to use as a modulation source for this feature of the box. Yeah. So hopefully this helps you with your new acquisitions.